Hello, this is Sam Simon, also known as Dementia Man, with my blog for the week of January 26th. That is right. I'm starting on Sunday, and boy, what a Sunday. I opened my New York Times, and let me tell you what I was thinking about. I've been thinking about doing my blog, and there's something really heavy on my mind, so to speak. I'm at a turning point in where I am at this moment in my treatment. I've just finished my drug trial, and I'm going to be meeting this Monday with the sponsor of that trial, the old trial, and they want me to join a new trial. I don't know which one yet. And at the same time, I've been talking to my neurologist, and he wants me to start on one of the newer treatments for Alzheimer's or newer drugs. There are two out there that are supposed to help people with the disease by reducing the amount of amyloid in the brain. And if you've been following me, I'm amyloid positive. I have excessive amyloid. So what should I do? That's what I was going to talk about, and actually ask for those listening who may know, and I'll put in some of the dilemmas. Um, that's what I was going to do, and I am still going to do, except when I opened the New York Times today, there were two articles that, as if written for me today. I mean, it's like, do you believe in meant to be, that somehow the stars in the world are aligned to do something just for you? Because I was thinking about doing this, and then there are two relevant pieces in the New York Times this morning. One is, it's the lead. If you get the paper and at your home and you open the opinion or pull out, there's a whole section, opinion, Sunday opinions. The entire front opinion page is about, and I'll look at it here. I'm going to show it. I don't know if you really can't read. It says, Sunday opinion, a legacy of lie. Nearly 7 million Americans live with Alzheimer's disease. Why is the effort to find a cure filled with fraud? By Charles Pillar. Why is the effort to find a cure filled with fraud on a day that, or days that I'm trying to figure out what treatment I want and what should I do? How do I know what's going on? How does this fraud affect me? So we'll get into this a little bit. Now there's, the obituary section. I always read the obituary section. Dr. Humphrey, I'm sorry, Derek Humphrey, not a doctor. Derek Humphrey, 94, trailblazer in the Right to Die movement, dies. So if, yes, you're listening to this, you probably are aware that a good part of my energy about doing this play and part of the advocacy in Dementia Men the play is a counter voice to the Right to Die movement. Not the right to die, but exercising that right, committing assisted suicide. I'm a voice against that, as well as living a life of dignity and meaning with the disease, and also wanting accommodation just for us with this disease, just like we have for people in wheelchairs, right? Cognitive navigators for everyone. Whew. Coincidence? I don't know. It's like I always believe it's important to pay attention to so-called coincidences. I don't know what this means. I want to share a few thoughts provoked by this mishmash of coincidences. Let me start with just a simple note about Derek Humphrey, 94. He wrote the book called Final Exit, which launched in America the movement and the advocacy for right to die, the ability to choose the time and how to die. And he, at 94, died in hospice. For me, that tells me almost everything. He chose a natural death. The more complicated piece is the dilemma of fraud in research. My complaint, and I do have one, and I've sent an email to Mr. Pillar, and you can find Charles, Piller, and it has his email online, and encourage him to write something for those of us who are affected. I wanted something, I get it, I'm glad he wrote it, and I wanted, now what does this mean for you, people with the disease? What advice, and if not by him, somebody else? It really, I forget the exact number of millions of us, 7 million or more with the disease right now. With this kind of article, somebody needs to give us at least some guidance and some suggestion. I've written to the New York Times and urged them to do that. But so you can write New York Times or Mr. Pillar and add your voice to mine. But let me lay out a little bit the dilemma. And I'd welcome your thoughts. And maybe if you're someone who is affected by this, need to reach out if you're in the caregiving or professional in the dementia, I hate the word Alzheimer's area, be aware that this is something you could do to help people within your communities. Reach out to them, give them suggestions how to react to this information. Because it is important and it is confusing. So I have a choice today, literally a choice. I've just finished a drug trial. It was a new drug, a newer drug. It was designed and is designed to limit or prevent me from developing the what's called tau protein tangles, which are thought to be triggered by amyloid proteins in the brain. They trigger the tangles, and they're like black tangles, like black worms in the brain. I thought that would be helpful. There's some newer medicines, though, on the market, some by Lilly and one by another company that reduce the level of amyloids in my brain. So the drug trial I was on is a drug that impacts the protein tau and limits its forming. And the other is to reduce the drug that would trigger that, which I do have, the amyloids. The article, though, questions whether any of this really is what's causing Alzheimer's and whether it isn't something radically different. And it talks about a form of corruption in the research world. And it's less about medicine and more about human greed and the systems that we have out there when there is this popular what's the word? The word of the theory of the day. It's the popular theory. All the money, amyloid, we're figuring out. So all the research money goes to amyloid. So now all the researchers start doing something that they can claim, I'm in the amyloid world and I've got more research for you. And here's the author points out that there's a lot of evidence that some of the research being submitted, some of the materials are distorting the images of the brain and don't really show what they claim to show. And on top of that, the universities that are sort of behind in promoting the research are resolving these things privately. If the researcher has done something fraudulent or wrong, they take care of it on the side because they don't want to hurt their reputation and opportunity to get more money. I get it. I can see how that happens. It's bad. But what does it mean for me? How can they do this expose and not at least have somebody or a research um, commentary on, well, how do you decide what should you do now that there is some evidence that there are some alternative theories around Alzheimer's causes or treatments. And of course, I'm aware of them. There are diet treatments. And yes, fraud and dementia and Alzheimer's is huge. It is a big problem. And it is, in fact, as this points out, but I'm surprised he didn't mention it, the author. There are popular books and things out there. And the one I'm going to mention, and I hope I don't get sued. Well, I'm not going to say it because I might. But there is a neurologist who's written a book and it claims that there is an end to Alzheimer's and has a clinic, $10,000 to stay a week or two. And you can go through their treatment, which is a dietary treatment, and suggest by the name of the book and the treatments that will cure Alzheimer's. It won't. And I think if you talk to these people, but it is part of alternative theories that using diet can be helpful to you don't, ketos and stay away from certain kinds of foods are helpful. But there is no cure for Alzheimer's today, period, hard stop. And this author in the Times does acknowledge that. Um, the frauds that are more common are if you Google how do you cure Alzheimer's, you'll see some of them. There are people out there with soups and other home remedies. I just saying there is no cure for Alzheimer's, but there are drugs. There are drugs there that slow amyloid development. I was a guest at Eli Lilly a little over a year ago. They were celebrating their scientist, and the head of the head scientist who had worked on Alzheimer's talked about it. He was cautious about their new drug, which is one that my um, neurologist is suggesting I take. Um, and he said it can slow the amyloid development by about 20, 25%. Now, I'm 79. I'm already past the average life expectancy for somebody my age, but every year is important to me. If I could get another couple of years, I love it, particularly if I'm well. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. How do we decide? These are really difficult questions. The other side of it is, I love being a participant in the research. The way the play ends, Dementia Man ends. I want to be able to be part of research and helping to find a cure. And with the help and support of my family and friends and my audience, find a way to add a few more years, troublemaking years to my life. I'm trying to make trouble even now today. That's who I am, a troublemaker. But, and I just find the dilemmas of this disease and, just bright today, the dilemmas. What should we do? We have this disease. We think we know what's doing. How do I decide for myself what to do and how to do it? And it's really difficult. I'm going to make a decision. My inclination is both. See, that's my dilemma. Yes, I'd like to be on drugs that help me and slow the progress of my disease. And yes, I want to contribute to research. And I can't be on a drug trial and taking this other drug. Well, what do you think? I'd love to engage. I'm doing some things to help engage those of you who watch. And if you're a professional in this world, please join our uh, discussion. I'm up to a slow start in my listserv. It's called DM Man. But the way to get in our listserv and be part of a discussion, a private discussion group, just email Sam at Dementia Man and say, I want to be on the listserv. And we're getting slow but we're getting that started. Leave a comment. Go. You can watch this on YouTube, but go to the website Dementia and go to the blog, and there's a place to leave comments there too. So I hope your morning started with a few less dilemmas. And of course, I live in McLean, Virginia. We're a suburb of Washington, D.C. Go Commanders. First year, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And if my word to them makes it so, maybe my word, the dementia world will make a cure so.